Good day everyone, my name is Alex and welcome to a new TV box review. And I know I haven't had the TV box on the channel for close to a week now. So today I have the first TV box with 3 gigs of RAM. This is called the MECOOL BB2 Pro. And as I said before, we have 3 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of internal storage, the Amlogic S912 and of course running Android 6.0.1. This TV box also has dual band Wi-Fi. So let's start with a very quick unboxing. We get a white box. On the front of the box we see a picture of the device itself and some specifications, and turning the box around we are going to find some more specifications about the BB2 Pro. Inside the box we are going to find the usual stuff. So first of all, the remote control, and it's the same remote control that we've seen for many TV boxes, and of course I do recommend using a wireless keyboard and mouse for a much better experience. Aside from that, we are going to find the HDMI cable, a very short HDMI cable, the user manual, and the user manual has a couple of pictures and it's in English, and the power adapter. The MECOOL BB2 Pro looks identical to the MECOOL BB2 that we've seen a few months ago, and that TV box has only 2 gigs of RAM. So on top we have the brand name that also lights up with blue. It does look pretty cool, but you can only see that if it's dark enough in that room. We also have what looks to be like a little LED display on the front. However, that's not actually a display, it only has one LED, so that LED will turn on whenever the TV box is on. And we also have a power button on the front. On the left hand side we are going to find 2 USB ports and a slot for a TF card, and since this TV box has Android 6.0.1 you can always install an SD card as internal memory, so it's very simple to do so. And since we are talking about internal memory, I've also checked the speeds for the internal memory. So out of that 16 gigs of internal memory we get about 12 left, but the speeds for the internal memory are one of the best that I've seen for any TV box in quite some time. On the back we are going to find the network adapter port and the optical audio. And since we are talking about the optical audio, I tried DTS sound and Dolby Digital sound for Kodi, and this TV box comes pre-installed with Kodi 17. I wasn't able to have DTS sound coming out of this TV box while using Kodi for some reason. Dolby Digital sound seems to do okay, but if you want DTS sound you're actually gonna have to use the media player that comes pre-installed. So unfortunately no DTS no matter what settings I've changed there for Kodi. And back to the TV box, we also have the AV output, the HDMI, and where the power adapter goes. And lastly, on the other side we are going to find an external Wi-Fi antenna. So I did try the speeds through a wired connection and over Wi-Fi, and the speeds that I got through a wired connection are fairly good, and also very good for the 5 GHz Wi-Fi networks. Unfortunately on the 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi networks I was only able to get about 25 downloads, so not the absolute best. And of course, like everyone else, I was very curious to know if that 3 gigs of RAM is gonna make a difference for the benchmark results. So I ran Antutu Benchmak, the Geekbench 4 and the iStorm Extreme. And the scores are kind of equal with all the other TV boxes with 2 gigs of RAM that we've seen from the past. So nothing that special for a TV box that has 3 gigs of RAM. Now that you've seen the benchmark results, the speeds for the internal memory and the speeds for the Wi-Fi, I'm gonna plug this in and I'm gonna start recording the screen. I'm gonna show you how the launcher looks and we'll check out some files, play some games and see how well this box does. Alright, so this is the launcher that we get on the MECOOL BB2 Pro. So here you can add some apps, so you can just press the plus pretty much on anything. And we also have the navigation bar at the bottom of the screen. The downside to the navigation bar is the fact that we cannot hide it just like this, so you cannot swipe it down. You have to go to settings, and here at settings you have to go to display. And a display at status bar you're gonna have to turn it on or off, so that's the downside to the navigation bar, but it's a good thing that we have it, because otherwise it could be worse and not actually have it at all. So let me go back to the home screen here and let's start by checking out what apps come pre-installed. So we get the gallery app, we get the settings app, the browser, we also get the Play Store, and that's basically the most important one. We have Miracast right here, and I'm gonna test out Miracast later on. This is the movie player, so this you'd actually use if you wanna play files with DTS sound. Otherwise there is no other player that can play DTS files on this particular TV box. And aside from that we get Kodi, and this is Kodi 17, and we also have a Kodi updater right here, and Netflix. And moving to the settings app, so the settings app looks identical to the settings app that we've seen on past devices. Here at network you can either connect through Wi-Fi or through a cable. A display you can change the screen resolution, so this will be different depending on the TV that you have connected. Here you can also turn on or off the HDR mode, and for the duration of this video the HDR was turned off. But sounds, again, you can change these depending on the setup that you have at home and if you're planning to watch anything with surround sound. So that's what I have it set at this time. The storage and reset, I've already showed you how much internal storage you have left, and here at about we can see how the device it's called. So it's BB2 Pro, and the Android version is Android 6.0.1. Next I'm gonna show you what languages are supported, and as you'd expect, the same languages that we've seen for past TV boxes, and hopefully you can see the one that you may be interested in. So a lot of languages available, and that HDMI CEC, basically the TV box can turn on or off whenever you turn on or off the TV. So it's a useful feature, but it's not for everyone. And of course we also have Bluetooth on this TV box, and later on I will be playing a couple of games and you're gonna see how the Bluetooth works. For those of you that are interested, this TV box comes with root access from the factory, and this is the digital rights management information that we get. So of course we are not gonna be able to watch Netflix in HD. And since we are here, let's check out and see how multitasking works. So I have a few apps running in the background. So this is Kodi, for example. Let's see what else we have running in the background here. So the speed test. So all the apps running in the background seem to stay open, running in the background, so that's a very good thing. And I guess with those 3 gigs of RAM, we shouldn't have that many issues with the apps running in the background. For YouTube, the maximum resolution, at least for my TV, it's 1080p at 60 frames per second, and I'm just gonna let this play for a bit so you can see how well it does. So let me select that once again. So 1080p at 60 frames per second. And we'll give it a second. And as you can probably tell, it does seem to go fairly smooth. As I said before, this TV box comes pre-installed with Kodi 17, and I'm gonna open the settings app here and the system information. I'm just gonna scroll through this. Hopefully you guys can see anything that you may be interested in. So that's all we get there. So we have about 1.5 gigs of RAM available at this time, and of course the regular settings that you'd find on any Kodi app on anything. So let me go back and show you what add-ons we have pre-installed. So add-ons and video add-ons. So these are all the video add-ons that we get pre-installed. Of course you can always install more add-ons yourself. And let me find something that works here, a working add-on, and we'll see how well it does. And after quite some time I was actually able to get something going on Kodi. So as you'd expect, a lot of those add-ons that come pre-installed are not working. So that's the same for every TV box, just in case you're wondering. And I'm just gonna try to move, scroll a bit forward. So as you can probably tell, it does good. So all you need to do is find some working streams for Kodi. Alright, so I have my USB stick plugged into the BB2 Pro. I'm gonna start opening some files from my USB stick. So keep in mind that, as I said before, if you're planning to watch anything with DTS, it's not gonna work on this TV box. The sound is just not gonna come out for some reason. So you may be better off to install Kodi 16 instead of Kodi 17. But at this time DTS doesn't work on this particular TV box on Kodi, and you're gonna have to use the built-in player for that. And as you can probably tell, this file seems to work fine. We'll move to the next one, and this is gonna be the next one. And this one it's also doing fine. And I expect that all the files that we're gonna try today will work fine. So this is the following one. This is a 4K file at 60 frames per second, and this one does good as well. The next one that I'm gonna try, it's this one. and this is another 4K file at 50 frames per second, I believe. And it's stuck. I'm not sure why manufacturers choose to use Kodi 17, because it clearly doesn't work good on most of these TV boxes. So I'm guessing it's just as a selling point. So let me fast forward a bit. So for example, this file doesn't seem to work that well. And considering that we have the S912 and 3 gigs of RAM, this file should work really good. So not the best optimization for Kodi, and yeah, that's what happens with a lot of TV boxes, and it was the same thing with the previous model of this TV box. So let's skip forward to this one. So definitely very slow for Kodi, like nothing is happening. So after quite some time it actually started working, but as I said before, for those specs this should not happen. The following one, it's this one, and we'll skip all the way to the end here, and this one does fine as you'd expect. And moving to the next file, this is the following one, and this one will also do fine. If you skip anywhere, it just creates a lot of trouble for the TV box for some reason. So this one also seems to work. What else do we have here? This is another 4K file filmed with my phone, and this one also seems to work okay. Let's move to the next file, and the next file, it's gonna be, well, this one I'm pretty sure it's not gonna work. So all we see, it's a green screen, unfortunately. So let's see what else we have. We have this one right here, and let's see if this one does any better. And this one seems to work okay. But overall, that 3 gigs of RAM doesn't actually help Kodi in any way, and they really need to get rid of this Kodi 17 and use Kodi 16 that's much better optimized for these TV boxes. So those are the files that work and the files that don't work on the BB2 Pro. I've also tried Miracast, and I have my Xiaomi Mi Note 2 connected. I'm gonna open Instagram, for example, and I'll just open some of my posts from here. So as you can probably tell, I'm scrolling through the feed here, and it does seem to work fairly good. So Miracast will do fine. For our first gaming test, I have FIFA 16, and I'm just gonna play for a bit so I can show you how it does. It does seem to do fairly good. The image is nice and clear, and with 3 gigs of RAM and the S912, I don't see why it shouldn't do good. And look at me going. So I'm gonna play this for a few more seconds, and then we'll try another game, Real Racing 3, and see how well that one does as well. I'm currently playing Real Racing 3, and as you can probably tell, it does do good for Real Racing 3. And basically every single game that you're gonna find in the Play Store will do fine. Now, the 3 gigs of RAM that we have doesn't actually improve the performance of this TV box. The only thing that could possibly do would be to help you with multitasking a bit. But other than that, I haven't actually noticed any performance improvements over other TV boxes with 2 gigs of RAM. So yeah, as I said before, most games that you're gonna be able to download from the Play Store will do really good. And I've been using Xiaomi Bluetooth controller for playing games. And it's time to conclude this video. So I currently have Nova Launcher installed. I know that launcher that comes with the TV box, it's not the best, it is a bit boring. So you can install any launcher from the Play Store and it will work fine. So to conclude this video, this TV box, even though we have 3 gigs of RAM, and the idea behind a device with 3 gigs of RAM, it's that it's gonna go better with the apps and stuff like that, I haven't actually seen any performance improvements over other TV boxes with 2 gigs of RAM. And if I would be to choose between this one and the MXIII-G II, for example, I would still choose the other one, just because the software seems better optimized. The downside to this TV box is the fact that Kodi 17 that comes pre-installed doesn't work at all with DTS files, and that's a shame because if I'm gonna spend close to $100 for a TV box, I'm actually expecting to watch videos and movies with the surround sound. So that's the downside to this. That could be fixed if you actually uninstall Kodi 17 and install Kodi 16. That could probably work much better. So there you have it. The Wi-Fi speeds are very good. I've been actually using this over Wi-Fi, so really good. The speeds for the internal memory are also excellent. Miracast works really good, and the only downside that I've seen was that Kodi didn't work and perform that well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.